Picture this. It's May 24th, 2000. A young man sits in a friend's car outside his grandmother's house in Queens, New York. Suddenly, a gunman approaches. 9 shots ring out. 1 bullet goes through his hand, another through his arm. 1 pierces his hip, both legs, his chest. And 1, the most devastating, goes through his left cheek and out the other side of his face. The doctors say he'll never rap again. His record label drops him immediately. No one will touch him. He's blacklisted, broke and broken. 3 years later, that same man is standing next to Eminem and Dr. Dre, signing the biggest deal in hip-hop history. This is the story of Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, and how he went from being left for dead to becoming one of the most successful entrepreneurs in entertainment history. And trust me, the real story is even crazier than you think. 50 Cent's name is everywhere. You know the hits: In the Club, Candy Shop, Pimp. You've seen him in movies and TV shows. You know he made hundreds of millions from Vitaminwater. But what most people don't know is just how impossible his journey really was. This isn't just a rags to riches story. This is a story about a man who lost everything multiple times and still clawed his way to the top through pure willpower and strategic genius. By the time we're done, you'll understand why 50 Cent isn't just a rapper. He's one of the greatest comeback stories in modern history. Let's go back to where it all started. Curtis James Jackson III was born on July 6th, 1975, in the South Jamaica neighborhood of Queens, New York. But here's something most people don't know. Curtis never met his father. His dad dipped out before he was born, and Curtis wouldn't even learn his name until much later in life. His mother, Sabrina Jackson, was just 15 years old when she had him. And here's where the story gets dark early. Sabrina was a drug dealer. Not small time either. She was moving serious weight in the late 70s and early 80s, during the crack epidemic that was destroying communities across America. Curtis would later describe coming home from school and finding bags of cocaine on the kitchen table. His mother would mix the drugs right there in their apartment. And here's a detail that'll break your heart. She used to give 8-year-old Curtis expensive toys and clothes bought with drug money. He thought his mom just had a good job. But on December 26th, 1983, everything changed. Curtis was just 8 years old when his mother was found dead. Someone had drugged her, knocked her unconscious, and left her to die in a fire. She was only 23 years old. The case was never solved. Here's what most documentaries skip over. After his mother died, Curtis went to live with his grandparents, Beulah and Curtis Jackson Sr., but his grandmother was strict, extremely strict. She was trying to save him from the streets, but young Curtis was angry, traumatized, and looking for belonging anywhere he could find it. By the age of 12, Curtis Jackson was already selling drugs. Let that sink in. 12 years old. He was so young that he used to carry fake IDs and tell people he was older just so they'd take him seriously. But here's a lesser-known fact. Curtis was actually a good student. He was smart, quick with numbers. He had to be dealing drugs and managing money at that age. He even boxed at the local gym, showing early signs of the discipline and work ethic that would later define his career. By the time he was a teenager, Curtis had adopted the nickname 50 Cent. Most people think it was random, but there's a real story behind it. It came from a Brooklyn robber named Kelvin 50 Cent Martin who had died in the 80s. Curtis took the name because it meant change, as in, I'll take change from you. I'll take whatever you got. It was about being a go-getter by any means. Throughout his teens and early 20s, Curtis was deep in the game. He's been open about dealing crack cocaine during the height of the epidemic. He was arrested multiple times, once for selling cocaine to an undercover officer, another time for possession. Here's something wild that people forget. In 1994, when he was 19, Curtis was arrested at his high school. Yes, he was still in school, for bringing heroin, crack cocaine, and a starter pistol into the building. He got 3 to 9 years, but served only 6 months in a boot camp program. But it was during this period that something else was brewing. Curtis had always loved hip-hop. He'd been freestyling in the neighborhood, battling other rappers, and people noticed he had something special. His flow was different, aggressive, hungry, dangerous. In 1996, a friend introduced him to Jam Master Jay from Run DMC. Jay saw potential in the young hustler and took him under his wing, teaching him how to structure songs, how to work in a studio, and most importantly, how to turn street credibility into actual music. By 1999, Curtis had signed with Columbia Records and was working on his debut album, Power of the Dollar. He had a single called How to Rob, where he joked about robbing every famous rapper in the game. The song created massive buzz and massive beef. Everyone from Jay-Z to Wu-Tang Clan to Nas responded. 50 Cent was becoming a name. His record was about to drop. Everything was looking up. And then came May 24th, 2000. Let me paint the full picture because the shooting is even more dramatic than most people realize. 50 was sitting in a car outside his grandmother's house in Queens. He was with a friend when another car pulled up. A gunman got out and opened fire at close range. 9 bullets hit 50 Cent in 9 different places. One through his hand, which is why he still can't fully extend his fingers on one hand. One through his arm. One through his hip. One through both legs. One through his chest. And the most devastating, one bullet went to his left cheek, shattered his jawbone, knocked out a tooth, and exited through the right side of his face. Here's what's crazy. 50 Cent stayed conscious through the whole thing. He describes hearing the shots, feeling the impacts, and thinking, I'm about to die right now. The friend he was with didn't get hit once. 50 took all 9 bullets. He was rushed to the hospital where doctors performed emergency surgery. The bullet through his face had destroyed his jaw and severed nerves in his tongue. Doctors told him he might never speak normally again. Forget about rapping. When Columbia Records found out, they dropped him immediately. His album, Power of the Dollar, was shelved and never officially released. No other label would touch him. In the industry, he was considered cursed, a liability, possibly targeted by someone powerful. But here's the part that shows you who 50 Cent really is. Just 2 weeks after being shot 9 times, he checked himself out of the hospital against medical advice. His face was still wired shut. He could barely walk. But he went straight to Canada because there was still a price on his head in New York, and he started recording again. He recorded the song, Guess Who's Back, with his jaw wired shut, adjusting his flow to work around his injuries. That raspy, slurred delivery that would later become his signature, that came from a bullet destroying his face. For the next 2 years, 50 Cent was essentially in exile. He couldn't get a record deal. He was blacklisted. So he did something revolutionary for 2001. He started making his own mixtapes and flooding the streets with them. Guess Who's Back? 50 Cent is the future. And most famously, No Mercy, No Fear became underground sensations. And hey, if you're enjoying this story and want more deep dives into hip-hop legends and untold stories from music history, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're building something special here, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. All right, back to the story, because this is where it gets really good. In 2002, a copy of 50's mixtape ended up in the hands of Eminem. And Eminem was blown away. He played it for Dr. Dre, and Dre was equally impressed. These two legends, the biggest names in hip-hop at the time, both wanted to sign this guy who'd been shot 9 times and left for dead. In 2003, 50 Cent signed a joint deal with Shady Records, Aftermath Entertainment, and Interscope Records, $1 million deal that gave him a second chance. But here's where 50's strategic genius shows up. He didn't just make music. He crafted an entire persona and marketing campaign around being unkillable, being a survivor, being the hardest man in hip-hop. The bullet wound in his face became part of his brand. Being shot 9 times became his origin story. On February 6, 2003, Get Rich or Die Tryin dropped. The album sold 872,000 copies in its first week, the biggest debut since 1991. And the Club became the biggest song in the world. The album went on to sell over 12 million copies worldwide. But 50 didn't stop there. He released The Massacre in 2005, which sold 1.14 million copies in 4 days. He starred in a semi-autobiographical film also called Get Rich or Die Tryin. He signed his own artists to G-Unit Records, creating a whole empire. And here's where most people's knowledge of 50 Cent stops. But the business moves he made after music are even more impressive. In 2004, 50 partnered with Glasso to create a vitamin water flavor called Formula 50. When Coca-Cola bought Glasso in 2007, 50 reportedly made between $100 to $150 million from the deal. Some estimates put it even higher. He launched his own clothing line, G-Unit Clothing, which at its peak was making $100 million in. He invested in F and Vodka and later sold his stake for a reported $60 million. He became a film and television producer, creating the hit show Power, which ran for 6 seasons and spawned multiple spin-offs. Today, 50 Cent's net worth is estimated at around $300 to $400 million. Not bad for a guy who was left for dead in a car in Queens. So what's the lesson in 50 Cent's story? It's not just about surviving 9 bullets. It's about refusing to let anyone write your ending. It's about turning your lowest moment into your greatest motivation. It's about being smart, strategic, and relentless in the face of impossible odds. 50 Cent didn't just get rich. He died trying literally and came back stronger. That's the real underdog story. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos. Peace.